wrangler and the context drafter. So most of you can draft a decent prompt, but sometimes get well results and also know how to give clear direction, get relevant answers. So the idea of today's session is for it to be useful for any level of prompting. This is great. It's to be expected. Of course, we have some percentage that is also a prompt apprentice, which is also great. Lots of really useful approaches to prompting. That's the case. So, yeah, cool. Yeah, consistent numbers. And then next, let's do a quick word cloud with one thing that you've asked ChatGPT or ChatGPT or Microsoft 360, whatever you want to use. One thing that you've asked it to do this week. So let me start. Any activity or anything that you've asked for you during this week. There are some fancy examples on screen, but it can be something simple day to day. I think many of us data mining. So summarizing is definitely one of the most common use cases for AI. It's a clear winner. Itself. Yeah. Summarizing content is a clear winner, and then maybe second place might be coding. Yeah, so to be expected. We have some examples of summarizing content today, so that's great. All right, good stuff. Let's move forward. All right, so your prompt is your power. So this slide captures one of the ideas of this session, which is that prompting is no longer a side skill. It has quickly become a core professional skill in IT. The quality of what you get from AI is directly tied to the quality of what you put in. And when I say quality, I don't mean necessarily your prompts. I mean also clear and well-designed. So your prompt is your power because it determines how much context the model has, how focused the output is, and most of all, how usable the result actually is for your role or for your use case. So whether you're writing code, designing a solution, preparing a status update, prompting is now how we think about it, and not something separate from it. So throughout this session, keep this idea in mind. We're not learning how to talk to AI, we're learning how to translate our intent into clear instructions so we get the result that we want. Moving forward, advanced prompting techniques. Now we're getting to the core of it. So we'll explore sophisticated methods to revolutionize your interaction with AI and automation tools. So get ready to elevate your skills and redefine your IT practices. So from this point forward, we'll start breaking down specific techniques that help you be more intentional, as we said, with prompting. So it's really all about context, structure, and outcomes. So we'll explore different ways to interact with AI, different different methodologies for prompting uh, that depend on the situation. So, for example, there are some times where you need precision, sometimes you need speed, when you need reasoning versus when style is more important than reasoning, when you are executing versus when you are exploring. For example, those are some variables that can change how what prompting type you use. So as we go forward, I encourage you not to think in terms of which technique is best, but rather which technique fits the problem that I have or that I'm solving right now. So prompting techniques. A prompt recipe is a structured framework for creating effective prompts when interacting with AI models, and it includes essential elements. So we have objective, which is what we actually want as an outcome, context, which is the situation, what situation is the model operating in, what's the background information, instructions would be what should the model explicitly do. Examples is the reference points that increase clarity and accuracy. Tone and style specify the desired voice, how should the output sound, and that the format is how should the output be structured, so the formatting of the output. So think of prompt like a recipe, and just like with cooking, the result depends on the ingredients you choose. So these would be the core elements of the cooking a prompt, so to speak. You don't always need every single one of these ingredients, but understanding where to use each gives you control over the output. And then on the right, you will start seeing some of the prompting techniques we'll go through. These aren't competing techniques, but rather they are tools that are different, that are useful in different situations. So each one of these has its place. The first one is role-based prompting. It's a technique where you assign an AI model a specific role or perspective within the prompt. So it really helps when perspective and domain language matter. Then we have structured prompting, which is the deliberate design of prompts, clear layout of components, like instructions, context, examples, enhanced response quality. And this is where this is what we use when we want a really consistent output. And then iterative prompting, it's a technique where the user refines or modifies their prompts based on the AI responses. So they interact with the AI, adding more details, examples, or constraints as they go. So it's really useful when refining or exploring. Fusion prompts, I went 1-4, but fusion prompting, which guides AI models by including a few examples, input-output pairs, to check the responses, and then chain of thought, which enhances the model's reasoning by encouraging step-by-step problem solving that mimics human thinking. So this last one is really valuable when reasoning and the steps for decision making matter most. So the idea is not to necessarily remember each of them exactly as separate techniques, but rather when the AI in the future gives you a useful answer, you might remember some of these concepts that will help you refine the prompt, so you might get something closer to what the output you were expecting is. So let's dive into the first one. So role-based prompting, the purpose is to improve output quality by setting context to a professional role. The structure is very simple. You are X role, the idea is really simple. Instead of just asking the model to do something, you tell it who it's supposed to be. And it's one of the most practical ways to upgrade your prompts with very little effort. So by assigning it a role, you immediately change the output that an AI has. It changes what it focuses on, what vocabulary it uses, what information it prioritizes. So it's really a low effort, high impact technique. I would use this especially when the perspective matters. So if you ever feel like you are grabbing some output from an AI and trying to translate it into how a BA or tester say the same information, then you should be using probably role-based prompting. And here are a couple of examples. You are a product owner. How does our current product roadmap align with our strategic objectives for market expansion? Same thing for a developer. You're a developer, write a Python function that takes a list of integers and returns a new list with only the even numbers. Business analyst, analyzing sales data, and an automation engineer generating test code. The point is, this is something that you can try yourselves. If you were to change the role, if you were to use the same prompt but change the role, you would get really different answers, again in different language, with different information. Just with that slight change in the prompt, again, the results can be really different. So, really useful technique. Then structure prompts. Which the purpose is, by the way, sorry, let's stop for a second. Let me ask, are there any questions so far or any comments?
Can you please go to the previous slide for a second, please? Yeah, so I see the 4 examples for the prompt. Does it make a difference if they are in quotes? Because I see some of them are in code, some are last one is not in code. Does it make a difference?
I think the ones that you're referring to are the second and the last one. So these are the outputs. We are looking at the prompts. And
yeah, the prompt. The prompt, do they have to be in quotes? Like, how does our current product roadmap, that is in quotes. For the last prompt, you are a senior automation engineer, there are no quotes. So, does those quotes make
the quotes? Yeah, no, it doesn't matter at all. I understand your question. Yeah, no, the quotes are just there, but not necessarily you need to use quotes when using the role-based prompt. So, yeah, as you get, it's as you said, the last one doesn't have quotes, and it works completely fine. Feel free to use it with or without quotes.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
A question for you. Would you have to, in the first one, the product owner, would you have to actually give it the URL for the product roadmap so that it knows where to go to get it?
Definitely. So this prompt has the implication that you've already that either the conversation already has that roadmap as the context, or you've attached that roadmap before during the conversation, or you're talking to an agent that already has that.
Okay, good.
Included in the database, yeah.
Thank you.
So this role-based prompting can be used with the context. Anything else?
Yeah, Lejo, one more question. So when you're saying that we can go ahead and give the project specific links within these prompts, from a security standpoint, is it valid, and it's okay to give those links for generating the required output?
So that's a good question. If it's AI, if it's PwC approved AI tool, uh, yes, but I would say that yes applies to everything. I know that there are different levels of sensitivity from some sources of information. So I would really have
to read the response. It directly does not go through. So if you want
Got
to
it.
use anything from ADO itself, then we use the AI hub, which is integrated in ADO itself. Otherwise, for this prompting, you will just get that. Okay, can you please provide me the copy pasting the data,
Got it.
data, and I will. Yeah.
Got it, Evan. Thank you.
yeah, thanks for that. Okay, and Jerry, yes.
So, similar to the last question, in regards to PII, using like data mapping tool, data mapping files. One, permissible. Two, when I've tried it before using the Hub AI, the wrap time was like way too long and it never gave an output. Is it something that you advised using? I tried to use the file and I tried to use to paste it in, and I didn't get a good output. So I'm trying to understand, permissible, or should we just try to go about it a different way from a BA perspective?
So when you say data mapping, what do you mean exactly?
So I had a data mapping file, and I was just trying to get some information from it, just to understand it, like how the file is going to coincide against a user story. And I wanted I wanted to see if it would give me an output, but it took so long, it was like it wasn't working. The file was so large.
So for writing user story, perhaps I mean you can definitely use a data mapping file. For that, I would recommend creating a notebook in Microsoft 360 that has already some data sources added to it, or an agent where you can already connect it to your data mapping file. But if you want to write user stories in a simpler way, I'm sure you can find a good structured prompt that you can add to favorites and reutilize. And it can have the structure of the user story you'd like, plus some examples, and you can have all of that in a prompt, unless there is extra context in that file.
So if you don't mind, I'll piggyback on that. So in the prompt, was it advisable to use OCR as a prompt, or analyze as a keyword?
Well, you mean the keyword in the prompt?
Yes.
That's a good question. So what I would recommend is I don't know the answer which works better, but there's definitely a chance to try out more prompts, see what works, and we'll go through later on another advanced techniques, which is meta prompting, which would be useful, I think, in this case where we ask the LLM itself how to improve this prompt, or asking it, going through a result that you got from prompting that you were satisfied with, and asking it to help you improve its prompt. So it's definitely a case where you can use a structured prompt as a base, and then through making some changes or asking the AI to improve on it, you can reach until you reach the desired output. You can find the right structure. Especially if it's something like writing user stories, once you find the structure that works, you can just reutilize it over and over again. So,
Yeah, I thank you. I appreciate it.
yeah, no worries. So, and again, if someone has questions about AI capabilities and what you can do as far as patients and notebooks and prompt libraries, which are added in this game, and there are other trainings and there are yet trainings to be had that aren't as focused on prompting, but rather actual functionalities that maybe will dig deeper into those aspects. I'll definitely recommend those as well to complement here. We'll get back to that question about the user story once we go through some more techniques, for sure. So structured prompts. So this slide introduces structured prompting, where we control the output by specifying what, where, and how. So this is a structure. We give an instruction. We ask the AI to use a context, and we give them a desired output format. So it gives a model clear guidance on what to do, what it's about, and how to deliver it. It reduces ambiguity and improves consistency. So this is about being really explicit with what you want, and it's really useful when you're creating repeatable deliverables, requirements, test cases, documentation, things that usually have the same format. This is where prompt libraries become really useful. If you attended the couple of trainings on Tuesday, I think, for Chat PLC and Microsoft 360, you've seen how prompt libraries work. If you notice that you're doing the same type of task repeatedly, a well-structured prompt can be saved and reused almost as is. And a simple rule would be that if you expect to use a prompt more than once, then it's already worth it to structure it and add it to your prompt library. Let's see an example. So a structured prompt instruction act as an experienced business analyst specializing in tech domain. The context is gather key functional requirements for a fintech portal system designed for a medium-sized business. The format provides a bulleted list with at least one core requirement, a brief description, and an example user story. Oh, and the results are exactly as you asked. So it's very precise and again consistent. So when you structure a prompt, you give the model everything it needs to get an output back. It's a single exchange. But this is also really useful to know for agents, because instructions are also one of the foundations with which you can configure agents. It's not only the only thing, of course, that you need to have a working agent, but it's definitely the foundation for writing one. And yeah, as you can see, this is the type of prompt that most commonly you'll see in the prompt libraries, where you have a couple of blank spaces where keywords like business analyst, and then you have the same prompt that can be utilized across different situations. And another thing to note is that this is also using the role-based prompting, so these techniques are very easy to combine with each other. So it's not like you'll be using one or the other, but rather you'll be constantly using components of the recipe, as we said previously. And iterative prompting. So iterative prompting, its purpose is to refine outputs step by step by using feedback loops. You have an initial task, and then you revise the task to improve or optimize the results. So this is probably the most natural way people interact with AI today. Instead of trying to get the perfect prompt on the first try, you start with a basic request and then refine the output step by step based on what you see. So let's see an example. So the example is we have this basic prompt to summarize the project status, and the output is really vague, not that useful. It says project is on track, some issues with testing. Then you refine the prompt, you ask the AI now to summarize the project status, but do it for a steering committee. Now you clarify the audience. Then you refine it further. You say, refine the summary to emphasize schedule, impact, and improve key metrics, and give it instructions, context, and explain what information you should be focusing on. And finally, revise it again for executive readability. In other 100 words, you give it to format, and you almost turn it into a structured prompt by the end. So this is really useful for when you're still forming your thoughts. The problem is really complex and you don't know quite how to formulate a good prompt, or you just aren't sure what a good output would look like. This is when you start with a vague instruction and then start refining it from there. Each iteration adds guidance to the AI. It doesn't add new information, just guidance on what the output should be. So again, if you're unsure about what you want, don't try to over-design the first prompt. Start with a simple one, and then you can iterate first and eventually convert it into a more structured one. Something that I would recommend is something that makes a big difference rather is how you give feedback during these iterations. So, if you use the basic prompt and the output isn't quite there yet, and the feedback you give to the AI is try again, or this is what I wanted, or this needs to be better. That's not quite informative to the AI. It doesn't know what it did wrong, so it doesn't know how to fix it. So instead, when you iterate, try to add extra guidance or instructions, or try to explain why the output isn't quite ready. Give it strong feedback. Like an example of a good iteration would be this summary is too high level for a technical audience. So add specific metrics from the data set I shared. Something like that. The idea is the more precise your feedback, the fewer iterations you need. So you can think of it like if you gave the same feedback to a junior colleague, would they know how to fix the issue? Because if the answer is no, probably the AI model won't know either. Any questions so far? No? Cool. Right, let's move on. Okay, fusion prompting. The purpose is to guide the model by giving it examples. So a structure is task instruction, example 1, example 2. Now do the same for input. So it enhances AI performance by providing a limited number of examples within prompts, improving accuracy and adaptability. Now, as I mentioned before, this isn't a prompting technique that is very often used on its own. So it can be used as part of a structured prompt or as part of a role-based prompt. So these are all components that can be combined. So you can have a whole structure plus a couple of examples, or a role-based prompt plus a couple of examples to guide the output. So instead of trying to describe what you want in abstract terms, you show the model a couple of examples, so it has a pattern. This works really well with things like emails or status updates.